Hey everyone, it is Sillyman here. Today I will be showing you how to create a button that will increase the player's speed whenever they click it. So let's start by creating the button. I'm going to go over to Starter GUI and then insert a Screen GUI and then a text button inside of the Screen GUI. And then I'm just going to move this down vertically, change the position to 0, 0.50, then the anchor point to 0.5. Then I'm just going to move this in a little bit. Alright, and then just customize the text. I'm going to just say click for speed. Then turn on scaling. I'll change the font and the color. Then I'll add UI corner, just give it rounded corners. And I'll also add padding. Alright, change padding left to 0.50. Do the same for padding right. Let's do 0.3 maybe. 0.2. Alright, I think that looks good. Just gonna make the text white and add a border to it. So UI stroke. And then change contextual to border. I'll change the thickness to 3. Alright, I think that looks good. And I'm just going to call this speed button. And then I'm also going to create a label, as many of these type of games usually have a label on top to indicate the player's speed. So insert a text label. I'll just call this speed label. And then for the size, we should actually use scale for the size on this one as well, just so it appears right on every device. So for size, I'm going to do 0.15 for the X value, and then for Y, we'll do 0.08 maybe. Do 0.06. Okay, that's good. And I'm just going to copy this and then set that for this one. And this one, I want to center it horizontally, so I'm change the position to 0.5 here and the anchor point to 0.50. And then move it down just a little bit. And we can make this a little bit bigger in case the player speed is really high. Then I'll change the transparency to 1. Make the text bigger. I'll just set its speed 0 for now. Make the text white and change the font. And I'll also add a stroke to this. Change this to contextual. I'll change this to 2. Alright, I think that looks good. So now let's get on with the scripting. So I'm going to insert a script into server script service. I'll just call this speed script. So the first thing we're going to do is create leader stats. That way the speed will show up on the top right of the player's screen on the leaderboard. So I'm going to say game.players.playerAdded connect function player. And then let's create the leader stats here. So local leader stats equals instance dot new folder leader stats dot name equals leader stats. And you must spell it exactly like this with all of it being lowercase, otherwise it won't work. And then leader stats dot parent equals player. Then next we're going to create the speed value. So local speed value equals instance dot new int value. Then speed value dot name equals speed value dot value. And I'm going to set that to 1 by default. And then speed value dot parent equals leader stats. Now if I hit play and I'm in the game, you can see that the leader stats is here and it says that my speed is 1. However, that doesn't actually reflect my character yet because we still have to code it. As you can see, my character speed is normal. So to code that, we're going to do player.characterAdded connect function character. And then I'm going to write task.wait. This is just going to prevent any glitches. When I do the character added event, I always add a task.wait. And then we're going to say character wait for child humanoid dot walk speed equals speed value dot value. Now if I hit play, my speed should be 1 now. All right, so as you can see, my speed is now very slow. All right, so next let's code the button on the client. So I'm going to insert a local script inside of the speed button. I'll just call this button script. So I'm going to make a variable for the button. So local button equals script.parent, because the script is inside of the button. So we just say script.parent to get the button here. The next one I'm going to do is create a remote event inside of replicated storage. So insert object and then remote event. This is basically going to allow us to communicate to the server to increase our speed when the button is clicked. So I'll call this remote event click for speed. And then here we're going to say inside of the local script button.activated connect function. Then we're going to fire this remote. So it's game.replicated storage dot click for speed, because that's the name of the remote here. Fire server. And then we go back into the server script, and then we're going to say game.replicated storage dot click for speed. That is the remote here. Dot on server event connect function player. And then here we're going to update the player's speed. So we're going to increase the speed value here by 1. But we can't actually write speed value here because it was created under this function. So the speed value variable doesn't exist here. But luckily, the speed value is inside of the leader stats, which is inside of the player. And we do have the player object here. So we can just say player.leaderstats.speed.value plus equals 1. That will increment the speed value by 1, which is what we want when the player clicks the button here. So this event here will increase the speed on the leader stats here, but it actually won't update the character speed. So to do that, I'm going to come up here, and then we're going to say speed value dot changed connect function. And then here we're going to update the character speed. So local character equals player dot character. And then let's make sure that the character actually exists, because if the player is respawning or they fell off the world, the character might not exist and it will throw an error if we try to write into it. So if character, then local humanoid equals character, find for child humanoid. If humanoid, then humanoid dot walk speed equals speed value dot value. All right, and this will update the character speed whenever the speed value is updated here. All right, and the last thing we're going to do is update the speed label here. So I'm going to insert another local script inside of the speed label this time. I'll just call this label script. So I'll make a variable for the speed label, which is going to be script.parent. And then we need to get the speed value on the script. So we can say local player equals game.players.localPlayer. And then local speed value equals player, wait for child leader stats, wait for child speed. And it's important to use wait for child here because we are on the client and these objects may not have loaded. All right, and then whenever the speed value is changed, we want to update this label here. So to do that, we do speed value dot changed connect function. Then here we must update the text to speed and then whatever the value of the speed is. So to do that, we do speed label dot text equals, and then in quotes we're going to say speed colon space, and then add 2 dots and then speed value dot value. So the 2 dots here will combine this part and make it into 1. So that way it will say speed and then the number, which is going to be the speed value dot value here. And then one more thing you want to do is copy and paste this below. That way the speed label updates when the player first joins the game. All right, and one last thing we want to do is go over to the screen GUI, and I'm going to turn on ignore GUI inset. This will just make sure that there's no weird offsets on mobile devices for any labels that are on top of the screen. And I'm also going to disable reset on spawn, because we probably don't want this to reset when the player respawns. All right, so let's hit play now. So right now I'm very slow, my speed is 1. If I click on it, I get slightly faster, and as you can see it changes to 2. If I click on this many times, you can see that my speed is increasing. There you go, my speed is now 30, and as you can see I'm a lot faster. And if I reset and respawn, it should still be 30 when I respawn. Alright, there we go. If I continue clicking, it's going to continue going up. Alright, now we're really fast. So our speed is 50. And that is all for today's video. So if you found this video helpful, please leave a like, and I will see you all in the next video.